Welcome to Cine Pro, where we bring your favorite movies back to life with quick recaps, hidden details, and everything you missed. The story begins with terrorists hijacking a passenger plane, and one of the passengers is forced to transform into a vampire to protect her only son. Before all these events, let's go back and see what happens. The Scottish forces are on high alert because a hijacked plane is about to land at the airport. Shortly after, the plane lands, and we learn that most of the passengers on board are dead for an unknown reason. A young boy named Elias is seen exiting the plane. Minutes later, the police spot a strange man in the cockpit, and upon communicating with him, they realize he is one of the passengers and not a terrorist. They take Elias to a psychologist to understand what happened and how the plane was hijacked. In the next scene, we meet a woman named Nadia, who turns out to be Elias's mother. She's preparing to travel to the United States to seek treatment. Before traveling, she contacts the doctor who will perform the operation, and he reassures her that the procedure is safe and poses no risk to her life. After some time, Nadia and Elias board the plane heading to the United States. During the flight, Nadia goes to the restroom to inject herself with a certain medication, the purpose of which is unknown. When she returns to her seat, she begins reminiscing about her husband and a trip they once took together. Suddenly, their car broke down, and Nadia snaps out of her memories due to a commotion on the plane. The argument is between a passenger named Carl and a flight attendant named Paul. Paul takes Carl to the plane's kitchen and stabs him, revealing that they are part of a terrorist group. As the situation escalates, the criminals warn the passengers that anyone who moves will be killed. They kill the plane's captain and cut off communication to prevent anyone from reaching them, taking full control of the aircraft. Elias shows his mother a hidden spot on the plane where they can hide from the criminals, but she refuses, fearing they would be killed if discovered. Elias disobeys her and quickly runs to the secret spot. Nadia searches for her son but is confronted by Paul, who orders her back to her seat. She refuses, and Paul shoots her, seemingly killing her. One of the gang members finds Elias's hiding spot and brings him back to his seat. Seeing his mother dead, Elias breaks down in tears, blaming himself for her death. Paul searches Nadia's bag, hoping to find money or anything useful, but only finds a collection of medications. We are taken back in time to when Nadia and her husband were on a trip. Nadia searches for her husband after their car breaks down and comes across an abandoned house. Inside, she finds blood on the floor and is attacked by a vampire. She manages to lock herself in the basement, but later finds her husband dead. Overcome with grief, Nadia is unsure what to do. The vampire breaks into the basement and attacks her, but she kills him with a sharp object. Before dying, he bites her, and Nadia begins to transform into a vampire. Returning to the present, Nadia sneaks into the plane's cargo hold, where she finds animals and drinks their blood to sustain herself. One of the criminals hears noises and investigates, but Nadia kills him. Her transformation into a full vampire begins, with her fangs replacing her teeth. The criminals plan to release toxic gas to kill the passengers. They find their colleague's body and suspect a blood-stained dog killed him. Nadia manages to reunite with her son and heads to the cockpit to notify the authorities, only to find the captain dead and the plane on autopilot. One of the passengers volunteers to help pilot the plane, as he has prior experience. Meanwhile, the criminals prepare to parachute out of the aircraft. They discover Nadia's medication and realize she is still alive and responsible for their colleague's death. They search for her and decide to kill some passengers to force her out of hiding. Threatening a young girl, Nadia opens the cockpit door and attacks the criminals, looking terrifying. Paul witnesses Nadia killing the gang members, and anyone bitten by her begins to transform into a vampire. Paul searches her bag and discovers her weakness: sunlight. Nadia injects herself with medication to revert to her human form. Flashbacks show Nadia returning to the vampire's house for a cure but being attacked by a stranger. She narrowly escapes. In the present, Elias finds Nadia unconscious in the restroom and tries to drag her to the cockpit. Paul shines a flashlight to distract her, takes a vial of her blood, and prepares to kill her. Elias threatens Paul with a gun, but the shot misses, breaking a plane window and destabilizing the aircraft. Nadia awakens, grabs her son, and heads to the cockpit to stabilize the plane. Paul injects himself with Nadia's blood, transforming into a vampire. Nadia, sensing his blood, confronts him. She quickly tries to empty the car's gasoline, the one Paul is hiding in, to kill him and get rid of him. But the fire suppression system on the plane activates, and it quickly extinguishes the fire. After that, the gang starts searching for Paul, and after a long search, they find him. However, he has completely transformed into a vampire. He attacks them, begins killing them, and drinks their blood. We then shift to another scene. We see one of the passengers searching for his wife. He is accompanied by a traveler named Fred, as well as another traveler. This traveler has a gun to protect themselves. Suddenly, the passenger finds his wife murdered. He becomes extremely angry and starts shooting at Nadia because he believes she killed her. But the truth is the opposite. Unfortunately, Nadia gets shot in the shoulder. Paul then attacks the passenger cabin to kill them. But Nadia and some passengers manage to lock the door on him, trapping him in the plane's garage. Unfortunately, a Freddy gets bitten, and Nadia quickly cuts off his hand to prevent him from turning into a vampire. At this point, Nadia gathers all the passengers and hides them in a secret place to protect them from the gang. Suddenly, a Freddy informs them that the plane's fuel is about to run out and that they must land at the nearest airport. In another scene, we see one of the gang members opening the cabin door, allowing Paul to bite him and turn him into a vampire. But Paul kills him and drinks his blood. After that, Paul starts killing all the passengers on the plane. Here, we see Nadia, Fred, and Yas in the cockpit. Fred tells Nadia that they cannot land the plane because all the passengers have turned into vampires, and if they land, they will start killing people, causing chaos in the city. Nadia makes a very dangerous decision to blow up the plane in the sky, but Yasser goes to the plane's storage to retrieve the gang's bomb. He uses a flashlight to fend off the vampires, but unfortunately, the flashlight falls from his hand, and the vampires attack him to kill him. Nadia sees everything through the cameras, and she quickly rushes to save her son. Suddenly, Paul appears, and a bloody fight ensues between them. Luckily, Nadia manages to knock Paul out of the plane, but unfortunately, he grabs onto the ropes. Here, a Freddy directs the plane toward the sunlight beam, and the plan works. Paul falls from the plane and dies as a result. Afterward, we see Nadia unconscious, and Yas quickly cuts himself with a blade to let her smell the blood and wake up. The plan succeeds. We then return to Yas, and we learn that all these events were narrated by Yas to a psychiatrist. We also discover that Fred is one of the criminals who hijacked the plane, but after witnessing Nadia's strength and danger, he decided to help them. We also notice the Scottish forces communicating with Fred on the plane. Fred responds to them, saying that everyone on the plane is dead and that he is the only survivor. After a short period, joint military forces raid the plane to arrest Fred. We then move to another scene where an ambulance is transporting Yas to the hospital, but Yas manages to escape from the ambulance and quickly heads to the plane. At the same time, we see the military killing the remaining vampires inside the plane. Here, Yas sees his mother killing one of the soldiers in front of him. Suddenly, his mother sees him and quickly attacks him to kill him, but Yas quickly pulls the bomb detonator from his pocket and blows up the plane, killing everyone inside it. To prevent the city from being harmed, and to stop the spread of the vampire disease worldwide. And thus, the movie ends. If you liked today's video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell to receive all new updates. See you in the next video. Goodbye.